Good morning, members. It being 9 a.m., I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to ask those of us joining here in the committee room to introduce yourselves. Welcome to the first meeting of the Special Standing Committee on Member Services. I'll begin here on my right. We'll go all the way around the table if you would introduce yourself for the record. After we deal with the remote participation motion, we will introduce Member Singh. Mr. Roth.
Good morning, Aaron Roth, Committee Clerk.
Good morning, Shane Getson, MLA, Loxana Parkland.
Garth Roswell, MLA, Vermilion, Lloydminster, Wainwright.
Danny Howe, Fort McMurray, Wood Buffalo.
Good morning, Martin Long, the MLA for West Yellowhead.
Leanne Bell, Chief of Staff to the Speaker.
Irfan Sabir, MLA, Calgary, Buller, McCall.
Good morning, my name is Dave Egan. I'm the MLA for Edmonton Northwest.
Good morning, Christina Graham, the MLA for Edmonton Millwoods.
Good morning, Shannon Phillips, MLA for Lethbridge West.
Good morning, Lindsay Tischer, Director of Human Resources, Legislative Assembly Office.
Good morning, Terry Chirkwich, Law Clerk, Office of Parliamentary Counsel.
Good morning all, Dave Ludwig, Executive Director, Corporate Services.
Good morning, Shannon Dean, Clerk.
And I'm Nathan Cooper, the MLA for the outstanding constituency of Olds Didsbury Three Hills, the Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Alberta, and the Chair of Member Services. As our first item of business will be the consideration of a motion to promote or to permit remote participation during committee meetings. A motion to approve remote participation does not prevent the committee from determining that personal attendance at a specific meeting is required. In those cases, a motion would be moved at the end of a meeting requesting that personal attendance of all members at a subsequent meeting. I have a suggested motion for the committee. If the committee clerk could read that potential motion into the record and see if a member might be willing to move that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That the Special Standing Committee on Members' Services consent for the purpose of Section 6 of the Legislative Assembly Act to remote participation by any member in the committee's meetings held at the designated committee rooms in the Queen Elizabeth II building during the 31st legislature, unless the committee carries a motion in advance of the meeting that remote participation of members is not permitted at that meeting.
I see Member Yao has indicated he'd be willing to move that motion. I'm happy to have discussion about that. We'll consider that motion moved on behalf of Member Yao. I'm happy to have some discussion. If there is any one clarifying comment I would like to make is that this will, because it's for the 31st legislature, it will cover all meetings, and this will be the only time that the motion needs to be passed. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Happy to call a question. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. My opinion, the ayes have it. The ayes have it. At this time, I'd like to invite members participating remotely to introduce themselves for the record. Mr. Singh. Good morning. Thank you very much, Peter, and welcome. I'd like to move now to item number 2, approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or revisions for today's meeting? Seeing none, I'd like to propose or a member that moves the approval of the agenda. Ms. Phillips, I assume it's like an auction mart here. Anything above your waist is a bid. Excellent. Ms. Phillips moves that the Special Standing Committee on Member Services amend the proposed agenda. Moves that the proposed agenda be adopted. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. In my opinion, the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Item number 3 is an orientation for committee members. This being the first meeting of Member Services, I've asked the clerk, Shannon Dean, to provide a very brief orientation, primarily for the record, given that all members on the committee are returning members and have a good sense. I understand the briefing to be quite brief, but I'll turn it over to the clerk.
Good morning, members, and thank you, Speaker Cooper. My original goal in preparing these remarks was to provide a fairly comprehensive overview, but given the abundance of experience at the table here, I don't think that's necessary, so I will be very brief. As noted in your orientation materials, the Members' Services Committee is appointed at the commencement of each legislature, with the Speaker serving as chair. The committee's mandate is largely set out in the Legislative Assembly Act, with the key functions being the approval of the annual estimates of the Assembly, as well as setting members' compensation, benefits, constituency office budgets, and the rules governing disbursement of those funds. These rules are set out in the Members' Services Committee orders. Some additional areas that are regulated through the orders include members' transportation allowances, travel, and records management. I'd also like to touch upon the system of financial accountability with the Legislative Assembly Office, or the LAO. The LAO is considered to be a department under the Financial Administration Act. Accordingly, expenditure of funds appropriated by the Assembly are governed by that Act, notably Part 4, which deals with disbursement of public money. There are also regulations and directives under the Financial Administration Act that apply to our financial policies and procedures, as well as the orders and guidelines approved by this committee. In my role as deputy head, I appoint the senior financial officer, Mr. Darren Joy, who does not appear to be here today, but we also have accounting officers appointed, and we designate certain individuals as expenditure officers for various elements in the Assembly budget. Each member, as you know, is an expenditure officer with respect to the member's constituency office budget. And for caucus funds, the expenditure officers typically come from the caucus leadership, such as the whip, as well as senior staff designated by the whip. So the financial management branch at the LAO is responsible for the receipt and disbursement of public money, maintaining accounting records and systems, producing financial statements for the Assembly, and coordinating the LAO's financial policies and procedures with the overall government-wide policies in the financial management area. The accounting officers are responsible for reviewing and approving disbursements to ensure that the expenditure of public funds is compliant with the relevant authorities. Now, the Member Services Committee has approved certain orders and guidelines have been developed to govern expenditures. In particular, I would draw your attention to the Constituency Services Order, guidelines for members' expenditures, and caucus expenditure guidelines. Now, these rules and guidelines are revised from time to time on the instruction of the committee. Sometimes issues are identified by the Auditor General, which the committee may wish to consider, because as you know, the Auditor General conducts an annual audit of the LAO. And finally, it's important to note that any administrative decisions regarding compliance are subject to appeal to the Speaker in first instance, and then there's a further appeal to the committee. Final area I want to touch upon is the Assembly budget, and we are just beginning this process for the forthcoming fiscal year. In the coming weeks, we anticipate a meeting of this committee to be called for you to review and provide feedback on a budget parameters document that will guide the preparation of the budget for the forthcoming fiscal year. And in closing, I just want to make you aware about the Assembly budget. Current year's budget is $76.7 million. There are 4 key components. First, LAO branch budgets. They amount to 38%. MLA administration is the largest component at 47%, and that includes members' pay and benefits, operational expenses that are centrally budgeted, as well as constituency allowance budgets. Caucus budgets count for 12% of the LAO budget. And finally, there's a small portion, 3%, dedicated to special funding requirements. That includes planning and development initiatives, as well as our ERP system that is currently in progress.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Shannon. Does anyone have any questions or comments for the clerk? I have a couple of other just very brief comments that I'd like to make sure are on the record. That quorum of the committee is 1/3 or 4 regular members of the committee or official substitutes. Members who are not committee members or official substitutes may attend committee meetings and participate in the discussion, but may not move a motion or amendment or vote on motions before the committee. Discussion, of course, flows through the chair and I, along with the committee clerk, will track members who indicate that they would like to speak or participate. The committee is supported in its work by the Legislative Assembly Office, the Clerk, Parliamentary Council, House Services, Corporate Services, Communications, our committee clerk, and other branches of the LAO that we may call from time to time, depending on the matter under consideration. The committee typically meets 3 to 4 times a year to consider various matters within its mandate. Temporary substitutions. Standing Order 56 2.1 2.4 provides an opportunity for committee members to name a temporary substitute for part or entirety of a committee meeting for several meetings. I will refer to the committee members to the orientation memo that was distributed to all committee members prior to the meeting, and also to paragraph 393 of the practical guide of committee and detailed description of temporary substitution process. In brief, a temporary substitution in the membership of the standing committee may be made upon written notification signed by the original member and filed with the committee clerk, or through an email communication sent directly to the original member of the clerk member to the clerk and the committee chair. Substitution is given on a business date not less than 24 hours prior to the meeting for the substitution of the chair or the deputy chair and any other member prior to the scheduled start of the meeting for which the substitution is in effect, pursuant to Standing Order 56 2.1. Last but not least, honorable members, Standing Order 52.041 provides the chair of the standing committee to implement a deadline for certain motions and amendments to motions that members wish the committee to consider. Members will have received the memorandum on November the 2nd, 2023, regarding deadlines for nominations and amendments for this meeting. Additional information regarding Standing Order 52041 can be found in the orientation memo and also paragraph 36.14 in the practical guide on committees. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns with respect to the information you've just received? If not, I'd like to move to new business. I understand there has been some discussion about and the potential motions circulated to the committee. With that, Mr. Getson.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, I guess, in this format. So we did submit a motion on that, and if I could read that into the record here. So I'd move that the Special Standing Committee on Member Services undertake a review of the compensation benefits and allowances paid to the members of the Legislative Assembly under the authority of the Legislative Assemblies Act. Such review is also including recommendations on the process for future review and adjustments for members' compensations, benefits, and allowances. And be it further resolved, the Committee of Director Legislative Assembly Office, Administration, the LAO, to undertake a cross-jurisdictional survey of Canadian, federal, provincial, and territorial parliaments in connection with the above-noted areas submitted to the committee on or before December 11th, 2023. And be it further resolved that the LAO administration be authorized to hire an independent consultant to prepare a report with advice and recommendations in the areas for consideration by the committee, such as the report provided on or before January 15th, 24.
Thank you, Mr. Getson. Is there anyone wishing to comment on the motion? Seeing none, I am prepared to call the question. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. In my opinion, the ayes have it. The ayes have it. My apologies. Honorable Member Singh, would you like to vote in favor or opposed to the motion? The ayes have it. The ayes have it. There was a second motion that was circulated to the committee with respect to a subcommittee that may undertake some discussions with respect to the motion just moved by Mr. Getson. I understand Ms. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, in reaction to the original motion, understanding the practice of this committee to use subcommittees for business, I move that the Special Standing Committee on Member Services establish a subcommittee to be referred to as the Members' Compensation Benefits and Allowances Review Subcommittee, to which the following applies. The subcommittee is comprised of the Honourable Nathan Cooper, Speaker and Chair of the committee, as the Chair of the subcommittee, 2 members of the committee nominated by the Government Caucus, and 2 members of the committee nominated by the official opposition. B, the subcommittee's mandate is to identify specific areas of focus to the independent consultant for consideration in the consultant's report, and upon completion of the independent consultant's report, to review that report on members' compensation, benefits, and allowances, and provide advice and recommendations for consideration by the committee no later than January 31, 2024. C, the quorum for a meeting of the subcommittee is 3 members with a minimum of 1 member from each caucus. And D, a member of the committee may substitute for a subcommittee meeting at a meeting, provided that notice of the substitution is provided to the committee clerk before the meeting commences.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Gray. Is there any questions, comments, concerns, or discussion with respect to the motion? Ms. Gray.
Just one on item D, if I may.
Please.
Member Gray, when we're talking about the substitutions, just probably for clerical purposes, is it substitutions from this standing committee now, or is it open to other members as well, if there was substitution required for the subcommittee? Maybe it's a point to the clerk.
My preference would be member of the committee, just because of the background knowledge needed.
Okay, perfect. I would support that too. Appreciate that.
Excellent. Is there any other questions, comments, concerns? I'm prepared to call the question. All those in favor in the room, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. Participating remotely, in favor? I support. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. That motion is carried and so ordered. Honorable members, as the committee has established a members' compensation benefit and allowance review subcommittee, I'd like to advise the committee that the first meeting of the subcommittee is likely to take place the week of November 20th. I will circulate the best possible time. My guess is the morning of the 21st, but I'll take that up with the members of that subcommittee. With respect to who those members may be, I have a self-imposed deadline of the 14th of November for each caucus to appoint their members. Perhaps they may be suited to do that now. If they are, you can let me know. Mr. Getson?
Sorry, now I'm in the habit of touching the darn button here. So from our side, it would be MLA Rosewell and myself.
Excellent, thank you. I don't know if the members of the ND caucus are prepared to...
We'll get back to you.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. If you can, actually, you can just get back to the clerk by the 14th, which is Tuesday of next week. I would greatly appreciate that so that we can expedite that and then anticipate a meeting the following week. Item number 5, unless there are other new business items. Item number 5, the date of the next meeting. Honorable members, as we are approaching the period where the committee will need to consider budget parameters for the LAO for the upcoming 24-25 fiscal year, I'm currently looking at trying to conduct a meeting the week of December 11th with a strong consideration for Wednesday the 13th, but I will circulate some dates to committee members for consideration and feedback for that next meeting. But if we can put it in sort of our framework for that week, I would appreciate that. Any questions, comments, concerns with respect to the date of the next meeting? Excellent. Would a member please move to adjourn, as that is the completion of our meeting? Member Getson. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned.